Hey, welcome along. So we've only got a short time today. Most of my training workshops are 2 days. Yeah, I've got a little bit of jargon. There's a little bit of jargon. There's things like RFIs, that's a request for information. ROI, registration of interest, or an EOI, same thing. RFP, request for proposal. RFT, request for tender. It's all the same thing, but we're just going to call it tenders today. In tendering, the phrase is there's no profit in coming second. You know, you put all the money up front and you get nothing. And like I say, I lost $100,000 in about 3 months chasing after tenders, and we got second or third in all of them. No prize for that. So we had a guy on a course I was on, it was called the Entrepreneur Success Program. And this guy, Dr. Derek Rogers, he came in and he spoke to us about stress. And he said 2 things about stress. One is it'll make you miserable, and the other is make you die younger. I thought, well, I'm not into either of those ones. So I'm going to try and show you some, not just how to decide when to go for a tender, but also if you are going to do one, how do you manage it so we get it in on time? And the other thing is, like, how can we do it quickly? Do you get paid for responding to tenders? No, it's a cost, eh? So we just want to do it quickly, and I'll show you a bit about that. Sound good? All right. I've got a little question for you. So you've got this tender come through, you're looking at it, and okay, it's a good, you know, we could do it and all that sort of thing. What's the 3 questions you should ask yourself before you put the go button on? Yep, so that's one of them. That's a good question. That's sort of before you even get to here. But yep, so that's our little one. What's our odds of success? Okay, yeah. So that's sort of this one here. That's what's the dollar prize. And it's not always dollar, but it's normally dollar. What's the other one? Yes, yeah, absolutely. So here's the question. What do you reckon it costs you to respond to a tender? What's the answer for you guys? Tell me. Because it varies, eh? It varies from industry to industry, category to category, But what do you reckon? We've had ranges from, you know, like a few thousand, you know, 1 to 2,000, to, you know, a lot of them around 10K. You know, you put all your time, the opportunity cost, what else could you be doing instead? We've had sort of 50K, 100K, 1.5 million. Right. So I've seen it where they've gone in and it's costing them 10K to respond, and it's an open tender, and there's you know, let's say 15 responses. So they're 1 in 15 chance of winning, and the prize is like 20K. Do the numbers. And so if you just do that, I have another one, and that is, would I like to work for them? You know, if they're coming across as a bunch of tosses in the RFP or the tender, why would you want to work with them? There's 3 themes here, and then I'm going to tie them together, and it's all theory, but then I'm going to show you how to make it practice. Okay? So the first one is people buy on emotion and justify with logic. But who's ever employed someone? Who's ever had it where they walk in the room and you just go, yeah, I like you, in half a second? Who's ever had it where they walk in the room and you go, oh my God, and now I've got to do an interview. Wet handshake. And you go through all the logic of the interview and you go, what? You know, they didn't get it. We really made that decision in half a second. So it's that emotion that buys, not the logic. Okay, then there's clients are corporate people, so they're council, or they're not some big company you might be tendering to. They are individuals, they're people. Right, but fundamentally they're protecting their own mortgages. So they're protecting mortgages. So what does that mean? Well, it means they're looking for safe. They're looking for that little warm fuzzy feeling in their tummy that says, if I pick them, I'm going to be okay. All right, there's a book, again in your list, called Spin Selling. So what this means is the types of questions salespeople ask. Situational questions are like, you know, how big is it? How many you got? You know, all that sort of stuff. How many staff you got? You know, what are you looking at? But the problems, you know, when you're going in to solve someone's problems, what is their problem? So what's a problem you've got going up here at the moment?
Good team.
Good team?
Yeah.
What, you haven't got one, or?
That's
hard to get a good team, okay.
That's what our clients say.
Yeah. So what's the implication of not being able to say get good staff?
Not being able to deliver
yeah, you can't deliver, or it's just more stress, or you've got, like I'm doing some work with the Bus and Coach Association at the moment, and they've got these buses, they haven't got people to drive them. They're worth, 700,000 each. No one to drive them. They're sitting there doing nothing, but they still have to pay the interest on them. All right. So see how that is the implications. The problem is we can't get enough people. The implications are all that other stuff. They found that the people that asked the most these questions were the most successful selling. So that's all good. Now that drops a need. So that's all nice theory. But what I found is how I linked all this up. You see, what was happening here was the problem is logic, but the implication is emotion. And so that's why when you're selling to people, you've got to talk about the emotion for them to understand the pain or the pleasure in order for them to say yes. And so how do you then apply that in a simple way in the real world? Well, what I do is I just do a simple table. Here's the issue, here's the implication, here's the solution. Okay. All right, so the buyer's role. They're sort of in there saying, we're ensuring the organisation's spending their money wisely and all that sort of stuff. And, that's what they're saying. But a lot of them, really what they're doing is just making sure they protect their mortgage. But sometimes they throw their weight around. And what I've found, the bigger the organisation, the more the bullies they are, So you just got to understand a lot of them don't actually know what they're doing. So now what you've got to do is you've got to come up with a strategy. But, are you the incumbent or not? What's the incumbent? Are you doing it already? Have you got the contract? Who you're pitching to? What do you know about them? Who's making the decisions? Where are you strong and weak versus the competitors? Where have you lost in the past? Have you asked for feedback? And so we lost one because, because they said, you're inexperienced, you're a new company. All right, stuff that, mate. So we went in the next one, we brought it up. We said, we're a new company made up of experienced and even old people. Why did you lose the last one? Because this happened. Well, bring it up. If you've been the incumbent and you've had a few hiccups, bring it up. Don't try and hide it. Try and get a meeting with them if you can. The other little thing we do is we come up with a pitch. It's just a one-liner and it's punchy and it's emotive, but it's the thrust of our whole proposal. Why are you going to pick us? Oh yeah, right. I've got to go to the other machine here. So here's our little checklist, right? So we develop a list of questions, then we decide, hey, which ones are priority. So what we mean by that is, so when you sit down and you look at the questions you've got around this tender, you might not want to ask them, eh? So what we're doing is we're just coming up with a plan. So why do I do this? Okay. It's just about less stress, more success, all right? To me, the biggest thing about doing this is do it focused and tight and quickly. Okay, oh yeah, that's correct. I've got the 4 guiding principles next. These are my 4 guiding principles. And if I stick to these, I can't go too far wrong. Okay, so integrity. What's integrity mean to you? Reputation, yeah, reputation. That's the big one, right? Yeah, do what you say. Our phrase for that is walk the talk. Law of compensation, what's that one about? What goes around comes around. What's that called sometimes? Karma, yeah. Do you believe in this stuff? Yeah, I do. If you do good, you get good. You do bad, you'll get bad. That's my belief. Okay, golden rule. What's that one all about? Don't eat yellow snow. Don't be a dick. Just treat people like you'd like to be treated. Okay. So here's this little tool we've got, and it's all about how you approach an opportunity or a challenge, right? So it's description, objectives, strategies, actions, controls. All right. So the thing is, just focus on the problems first. Focus on the description. Just get the description bit. Let's just get the picture. So get all the facts. Because what's happening here is we're trying to solve it with only half the facts. So get all the facts first, then some objectives. Our first one is always have fun. Did you notice I wrote that up on the board? Yeah, good. Some of you noticed it, right? Okay, our next one is always, how can we enhance our reputation? So whatever we're doing here, how can we enhance our reputation? Then we brainstorm out some strategies. So what's the rules of brainstorming? Write them up, yeah, just get them up. Just write it up. Write up everything they say. Then after you've written it all up, then you choose which ones you're going to do based on the objectives. So you tie it back to the objectives. start with a clean document. So don't go and copy and paste your last one and drop it in there. Change the names, because sometimes you forget to change the names. So we sit around and we brainstorm it, and then I'll just go, righto, here's a draft of the answer. And I go bullet points, like here's the key reasons why we do this. And it's like bang, 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 bullet points. Why is that? A, it's fast to write, but it's easy for them to read. We use a style called information mapping. Can't go into that today, but here's the title over here, here's the content, here's the bullet points. It makes it really easy for them to read. But make sure you read the question and answer it. Answer the questions, but keep it positive. Don't use too much jargon that they can't understand it. Don't use their logo. So remember, find, win, keep and grow. You've got to behave yourselves when you're in this finding bit. You're not married yet. We've run workshops where this is your big chance, and they come in and they push the guys around, they run over top of them, and we're thinking, would we want to work with them? Don't think so. If this is what they're like when we're puckering up and kissing, what are they going to be like later? Righto, that's it for today.